Hello and welcome to another Red9 demo. Today I want to go through a new feature which is what we're calling dynamic timecode. And to illustrate this, we've got a sequence here from Cloud Imperium. This is some Headcam footage, the Cloud Imperium facial rig, a base solve of their animation data for this particular set, and we've also got some audio that we need syncing up. Now what you'll notice on this is that if we look at the Headcam footage, this is actually made from multiple takes. So if we go along this, you'll see, where are we? It'll jump backwards. So we've got 35 goes to 33. 33 then goes off to, well, 7. So we've got multiple time zones within this timeline. Now, traditionally, and what we've always done is that we've always had a linear time. And that basically is, if I turn on the timecode HUD up here, this sequence at the moment has got a linear timecode. So it starts at 1 hour and it just linearly carries on. Well, that's great, but unfortunately the Headcam doesn't do that. So what we need to do is we need to find a way of having multiple different time zones within the Maya sequence. And that's what we're going to do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up the Export Manager. And if we're selecting the Export Manager, you'll see this has already been set up with multiple shots. So these are all export shots waiting to go out to CryEngine. And basically each one of these is a zone, so it would be a zone that relates to a particular cut within here. So they've already set these up, so you can see the first one is that zone there, etc, etc. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a way of setting some bounds of timecode. In other words, we're going to set this first one. If I focus in on this thing, we'll set this first one to represent this first cut within the sequence. So if we right click on this, set timecode, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the Headcam data. So that's 06, 34, 36, 17, and we're going to go set. And if you watch now the timecode HUD up there, that now reflects that. If I hadn't set the next bound, that would linearly carry on counting, and that would be the time we're stuck in. But we're not, because if we focus on the next sequence, you'll see the timecode actually isn't that far different, but it's going to be a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll go set timecode on that. And again, we'll go 06, 34, 59, 14, set that one, and I'm just going to run through this. Let's go through. This one is 33, so the timecode has jumped backwards. Again, this is just a collection of movies that were put together to make it easy for the guys to edit these particular sets of wild lines. And I think we've got two more. Let's just set that one, right click. And we've got on this one, we've got 06. Bear with me on this. No, sorry, 06. 33, 52, 23, and the last one I'm going to do is that one, which is quite a big jump because that goes to 07. So that's 07, 00, 16, 00. Okay, and what's that done? Well, that has, if we open the graph editor up, what you'll see is that this node here is our time node. And on this time node, we have 3 attributes. And the attributes are basically the nodes that generate the timecode. They're the bits that we actually use to compile the timecode. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of these little bits in here. These were left over from the linear. It doesn't actually make any difference. So the counter is basically made from these 3 attributes, and what we have is we have a reference time, which is basically a static milliseconds. We have the sample rate, which is 30 frames per second, and we have the count, which is how far through that particular sequence it is. Okay, so you see that jumps through it. And again, if we look at the timecode up there, you'll see this timecode is now representing those bounds. So it gets up to the next one and it'll jump. We've got a little bit there where it jumps through where it was, because it was originally set to 1. Really, I should have deleted that. You see it jumps to 33, and then it jumps up to, where are we now? It jumps up to 33.53, and then it gets up to 07. Okay, so we've got multiple bounds within that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open the Timecode Manager. This is purely dedicated to managing timecode, syncing audio, managing the timecode on the rigs, and basically dealing with syncing of data. The rest of this I'll go through in a separate video. This one I particularly want to focus on, this dynamic timecode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select anything on this rig. This rig is bound to our MRig systems, so I can go set dynamic. And you'll notice it's spanned through the time range there. And what it's actually done, if we go to the script editor, is it's analysed that sequence and it's found some set bounds. So the bounds are effectively, these are the timecode slots, if you like. This is effectively an edit decision list that it's extracted from the data that we've just put in. And that data is going to get sent off to the syncing. So when we try and sync the audio, it's actually going to spin through all of this data dynamically, and it's going to try and resync these sequences. Okay, these WAVs were shot from the same headcam. They were sent off to the audio department. The audio department have obviously clipped them, which basically means each one of these has its own internal timecode. So if we look at this one, this is 063433. If we look at this last one, I think that's the last one. This is 063327, etc. So they've all got timecode, but the important thing is that none of this timecode actually sits after each other. It's all slightly different, you know, which means that we can't just say frame 1 is 0634, go away and try and find from there. We've actually got to analyze it in a more intelligent way. So what we're going to do is we're going to select this. This audio, by the way, that's on the top is the guide audio from the movie itself. So we've got an image playing, which is playing the movie. This is the track from the movie, just so that it's like a guide audio for the animators to use, but these are the master bits of audio for the game. Okay, and we want to get them into the main timeline. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to go and hit this button, sync relative to reference. And the reference is this rig. We've given it the rig. We've already seen that it's gone away and analysed it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the button. Goes away and sets it, and you'll see they go away and find out which slots are appropriate to each particular piece of audio. And they're all synced up. And if I play that off now, where are we? Play it from there, you should see. In fact, let's just mute that other one. In fact, we'll get rid of that other one just to prove that this thing is in sync. Get rid of that one.
See you around. Bye. Thank you, sir.
So you see it's synced it up. And just to go back through what that's actually done, each one of these pieces of audio has internal timecode. They're all BWAVs, but the timecode isn't linear. It's not consistent. It's from different takes from a different edit decision list, if you like. The headcam footage is a compilation of those different bits of EDL, if you like. What we've done on the rig is we've set the timecode bounds, which is through the exporter, which basically means that we can set through here, we can come in here, focus on the range that we want. I've just zoomed in, shouldn't I? Focus on the range that we want, set the start frame, and obviously for the duration of each one of these cuts, that is the consistent time range that we want to do, the time code that we want to do. And then we've used that to sync up. And this is all built through this thing. And as I say, the only thing I did on the top of that, just to show the time code, is if you right click on any of the rigs, we have a timecode HUD management system in here, so we can delete the HUD timecode, or we can show it, which makes it a really nice way of tracking it and seeing that everything is staying in sync as we're doing it, but again, using it for the export manager, and using the export manager as a way of cutting the shots up, assigning the time code so we know that particular shot is in that time code. I've probably waffled on. Thanks for watching. As I say, I'll go through the rest of this time code stuff probably in another video, but this one's quite a specific one. Thanks very much. Bye.